All right, let's talk about leveling up your skills in Oracle's Primavera P6. We're going to move way beyond the basics and dive into the strategic features that really separate the pros from the rookies. You know, how to turn that mountain of project data into a clear path forward.
Look, for anyone wrangling huge, complex projects, P6 is the industry standard, right? It's built to handle just a massive amount of data. But its real power isn't just storing all that info. It's about how you structure it. It's about organizing that information so you can make smarter, faster decisions. Okay, let's get into it.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You've got thousands of tasks, countless resources, deadlines that are always shifting. It's a total data nightmare. So the real challenge isn't just keeping track of it all. It's about somehow turning that absolute chaos into a clear, manageable plan.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about taming that chaos. Then we'll get into the blueprint of any project, the work breakdown structure, or WBS. After that, we'll look at the super flexible labeling system called codes. I've also got a crucial pro tip for you. Then we'll dive into quantifying risk. And finally, we'll see how this all comes together to supercharge your work.
Every single large-scale project just generates this overwhelming flood of information. So step one on the path to mastery is just getting control.
And here's the thing you got to remember. P6 isn't just a fancy calendar. It's an organizational powerhouse. Seriously, mastering its structural tools is the difference between getting buried alive in data and using that data to make brilliant, informed decisions. And to do that, you absolutely need a system.
And that system? Well, it all starts with a foundation, the actual blueprint of your entire project, the work breakdown structure.
Think of the WBS as the literal skeleton of your project. It's the formal, top-down breakdown of every single thing that needs to get done. And here's the key. It's meant to be rigid. It's like the street grid of a city. Once you set it, it provides the core, unchangeable structure that everything else is built on.
Okay, so if the WBS is that rigid skeleton, you still need a flexible way to categorize and look at your data from all sorts of different angles. And that, my friends, is where codes come in.
This slide just nails the difference. The WBS gives you one and only one way to view your project, top-down. Codes, on the other hand, are like these super flexible, powerful tags. They let you slice and dice your project data any way you can imagine, by department, by location, by funding source, and you can do all of that without ever touching that core WBS structure.
And P6 gives you two main flavors of these labels. First up, you've got project codes. Think of these as high-level, big-picture categories for grouping entire projects together, maybe by region or business unit. Then you've got activity codes, which are much more granular. You use those inside a project to sort, filter, and report on all the specific little tasks.
Okay, let's switch gears for a second. I want to give you a really practical pro tip that could save you a major headache. This is one of those little quirks that catches even experienced P6 users off guard.
So picture this. You spent hours creating the absolute perfect layout. You've saved it, you use it every single day. Then you decide to rename an activity code to make it clear. Maybe you change area to functional area. The next time you open your favorite layout, poof, that column is just gone. Vanished. It is incredibly frustrating. But here's the good news. So take a deep breath. Your data is not lost. What happens is that when you rename a code, P6 actually changes its internal ID, so your old layout just can't find it anymore. The fix is pretty simple, if a little bit manual. You just open up each layout that used the old code, manually add the new renamed column back in, and then resave it. That's it. A simple fix for a very sneaky problem.
Okay, so we've organized our project. We've learned a key trick. Now it's time to make the leap from managing what we know to strategically planning for what we don't. Let's talk about how to quantify risk. At the very heart of P6's risk management is this thing right here, the risk scoring matrix. This is the magic engine that turns subjective feelings like, oh, that's a high probability, or that's a medium impact, into a concrete, comparable number you can actually work with.
So how does it actually work? Well, it's simpler than it looks. P6 takes the probability you've assigned to a risk. Then, it looks at the impacts you've set for both cost and schedule, and it picks the highest one. For example, if a risk has a high probability and its highest impact is medium, you just find where that row and that column cross on the matrix. And boom! In this case, that gives you a risk score of 14.
Now, P6 is pretty flexible here. The highest impact method we just talked about is the default, but you can also set it up to use an average impact method.
That just averages out all the different impact types you've defined, which can give you a slightly different lens for your analysis.
A risk score is awesome for ranking things, but what about the bottom line? You know, the actual dollar value. For that, P6 calculates something called exposure cost. This formula gives you a potential financial value for a risk, and it does it by multiplying the planned cost of whatever activity is affected by these factors for probability and cost.
So you're probably asking, what on earth are these midpoints? Well, think of it this way. P6 assigns a percentage range to each rating. So a medium probability might represent, say, a 30 to 50% chance of happening. P6 just takes the middle of that range, in this case 40%, and uses that number in the formula. It does the same thing for cost impact, turning these qualitative ratings into real numbers for a powerful financial forecast.
So, when you combine all of these tools, you're not just managing a project anymore. You're basically supercharging it with layers of structure, flexibility, and some serious foresight.
The whole key is to use these tools together. The WBS gives you that solid, unchanging foundation. Codes give you that dynamic, multidimensional view for all your analysis and reporting. And the risk scoring tools, they let you peer into the future, to quantify uncertainty so you can make strategic decisions today to prevent the problems of tomorrow.
You see, mastering these systems isn't just about controlling a project, it's about confidently shaping its outcome. It's what takes you from being a reactive manager to a proactive strategist. So the real question is, now that you have the power to clearly see and score the future, what are you going to build?
This whole approach, this idea of streamlining project governance, is really inspired by the fantastic work of engineer Ziad Al-basir. If you're looking to put these powerful EPPM solutions into practice and build your own digital command center, his firm, ZALBASIR EPPM, is who you want to talk to. You can reach them at their email, info@zalbasireppm.com, or on WhatsApp. Thanks so much for watching.